Okay, give me 1 second here, guys. 1 second. Well, maybe more than a second. Trying to see if I can get these settings on. Sorry, I gotta take a drink. My mouth is so dry. Okay. Let's see if this works. Trying to invite somebody on here. Just give me a couple moments. Okay, I did that right. Probably have to edit the first 5 minutes out. Well, I sent the link, so we'll see if they come on. It's my first time bringing somebody on here, so bear with me. I didn't know if you can invite somebody on before you go live, so maybe I should have tried that first. Let me try messaging them. It might be a little more easier. Excuse me. Okay, I got the split screen. Let's give them a few more minutes, guys. They're probably trying to figure it out too. Let me check YouTube and see if this is on. Yep. Okay, it's working there. Have that open. Yep. Okay, it's working there. Testing. Testing one. Okay. I don't know where they are yet. I don't know. Let me check, make sure the sound's working good over on YouTube. Testing. Okay. Taking YouTube off. I sent the link correctly, I believe. Pretty sure I did this right. Let me see. Okay, that's just me again. Did I do something wrong? Okay. Sorry, guys, it's taking a few minutes. They cut me some slack. I'm a little new with the live streaming. And it's like, oh, I'm so worried I did something wrong. What is this share button? Oh, that's with two monitors. Share screen. Let me just see. Oh, hello. Here we go. 1 second. Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I was so worried I did something wrong.
Oh no, no. I was.
But how are you doing it?
I'm good. Just work and all kinds of crazy stuff going on. Oh, I can't hear you now. No. Oh, okay. Now
Good?
I can hear you. Now I can hear you.
Okay. So how you been?
I've been really good. I stay busy. I have an 8-year-old daughter that dances, so I stay busy.
I saw that. That was very cool about how Drew McIntyre sent her that. I bet
Yeah,
she was
that
amazed.
well, if you saw her reaction video, you know exactly how she felt about that. She
I
was
did. I didn't really catch everything that Drew was saying, though.
basically he was just he was giving her encouragement. Well, he was telling her happy birthday, and he was telling her about her dance competition. Just be yourself and do your best and have fun. And then he was saying, he was talking about, when it comes to competitions in school, he talked about the importance of being in school, um, and it was just such an amazing positive message, and the effects of that is still being felt to this day. She still talks about that,
Oh, I
about
would too.
Bruce message. Even though it's the exact same thing my husband and I tell her all the time, it
Mm-hmm.
it's different when it's coming from your hero, you know.
Right.
But yeah, he just the whole thing has just had. I mean, she started to work even harder at dance. She always worked hard, but she
Mm-hmm.
started working harder at dance. She's gotten even better at that. And then with school, I mean, she always loved school, but now she's been tapped as um, academically intelligent and gifted. So like
Oh,
yeah, like I said, that had such an amazing effect on her.
that's good. Maybe Vince McMahon saw that and said, "Oh, why are you helping the fans?"
Unfortunately, I wouldn't doubt that, but that it was most appreciated, and he's awesome in my book. If
Oh
for the,
yeah.
if for nothing, that alone made him awesome.
So maybe we should title this "The Many Faces of Drew" when Brock won the Royal Rumble.
Oh God, no! Don't get me started on that.
Like
No.
so many thoughts popped in my head when the camera just focused on him, and I'm just like, there's got to be so much he's feeling right now.
I mean, for him to come back from injury, I mean, he rushed back. I mean,
Hmm.
he could have taken, he really probably should have taken another couple of months off. Maybe coming back like right before uh, WrestleMania. Um, but he's got to be thinking, okay, it's I'm going to be the last two but of course Brock's going to go. I mean, he's got to get
Hmm.
back from 2020. I'm just I mean, I don't mind Brock, but that whole pay per view just flew off everything. It was just so predictable. It was just
It started off cool with Seth coming out with the shield and then the
I love
wearing
that.
the shield stuff. That
I
got a huge pop.
I love that. I was just like, man, he's one of the best characters out there right now. I mean, just the whole, just kind of crazy, laughing at everything, but he's dead serious too. I mean,
Hmm.
but he's also someone that I've followed for a while. I was a big fan. I'm an old school ROH fan, from even way back in the day, like when Punk and Joe and Homicide and those guys were
Oh yeah.
ruling back in the day. But I was a big fan of Tyler Black when he was, in ROH. But to see his progression and just how much better he's gotten, it's awesome. I love the match up until I just
Hmm.
the ending. I love. Okay, I loved the part where Roman kind of paid him back with the chair shot. That I liked, but
Right.
the ending, the disqualification ending, just
But the funny part was Seth was still laughing through all that.
like I said, he's just doing some amazing character work. He's
It
some,
ro-
some of the best in that company, honestly.
Oh yeah, and Roman's like, "This is funny to you?"
Not anymore.
But then they followed up with the women's match. I thought that was way better than the men's.
I agree with that. I was definitely disappointed with who won, but it was expected. That as I said about the thing with Drew in that Royal Rumble, it just because it was expected doesn't mean it didn't tick me off really good. Uh,
Mhm.
but I really loved all the different veterans that came back, and I love seeing Mickey James back. Mickey has always been one of my favorite females in the business ever. She's incredibly gorgeous and really sweet in person too. Just to throw that out there.
Oh,
But
you met her?
yes, actually ran into her. My husband and daughter and I went to Starcade, not Starcade, WrestleCade back in November, and she was actually just walking by. We were like in line to get into the Saturday wrestling show. She just walked by, and I just saw her. I was just like, her and Nick Aldis was walking by. I was just like, oh hi Mickey. She was like, oh hi, how are you doing?
Oh goodness.
Yeah, she's just, oh gosh, she was so sweet, and she's like even more gorgeous in person, if that can be possible. She was great. Yeah, WrestleCade was another little adventure for us. So we met a lot of really cool people there too. But yeah,
That's cool.
that women's match, I was I love seeing Melina,
Mhm.
seeing her back, and a little bit of Forbidden Door there too with the NWA.
Right.
I love seeing Lita come back. That what happened on Monday, what to me at the end of the show was probably the most interesting thing about Raw. Honestly,
Oh yeah.
I thought that was really cool, and I think they could have a really really cool match in Elimination Chamber.
They're actually building that up pretty nicely considering they only have like a few weeks.
I like it. I like how this is. It's almost like old guard versus new guard.
Mhm.
I'm really enjoying that. And like I said, I love seeing Lita. She looks great. She looked great in the Rumble. So it should be that should be a very interesting match though.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
I was very disappointed at Rhea. I really wanted to see either Sasha or Rhea win.
Mhm.
Um, Especially last year with Rhea almost winning, with Bianca Belair. I would honestly wouldn't have been disappointed if Bianca had won it again. But as I put on Twitter, Vince has his UFC hard on, and it was
Yep.
very obvious in both the men's and women's.
He basically told you, "Hey, Ronda's winning the Royal Rumble."
I knew as soon as Ronda was announced. I have to say though, Drew was a bigger surprise than Ronda. I
Yeah.
mean, they kept him very quiet. But when they just pretty much put it out there, yep, Ronda's coming back. I was like, yep, I know how this story is going to end. And then the whole thing about the rumors floating around about how the Lashley Lesnar match was going to go. I'm like, yep, I know how this one's
You
going to
had a
go.
feeling. Yep.
Yep. So yeah, just it was very predictable. The Edge Beth match, I thought that match was I enjoyed it. Pretty predictable ending, but
Mhm.
you really want to feel good story in a match like that. I'm fine with that. I mean, I love Miz and Maurice too, but Edge was for the Attitude Era. He was my guy. Like
Right.
Drew is now, like Sting was before him, and then like kind of Batista kind of after him, and in between the Edge and Drew. But I love the fact that Edge is back when he really probably when people thought he was never going to return. So
Oh, that's great. And I think from what I'm hearing, they're pushing for Edge and AJ Styles for WrestleMania.
I've got my fingers and toes crossed on that one. That I would love to see that. I would absolutely love it. That's two of my favorites of all time. AJ was probably my favorite when I was watching TNA on a regular basis.
Mhm.
I was also a really big TNA fan back in the day as well. So I've but Yeah, definitely. That's the match I really would like to see that at Mania.
Oh yeah. I saw AJ was calling Edge out on Twitter. I'm like, I think they're gonna go with this match actually.
I really do hope so. And then I heard some sort of okay, so I heard Shane McMahon was going to be at WrestleMania, and I heard it was supposed to be against Austin Theory, which that storyline makes sense since
hmm
he's kind of since Theory's kind of Vince's new son or whatever.
The
But
John Cena now.
yeah, exactly. But now I'm hearing something about Shane versus Seth, and I'm like,
Hmm?
yeah, I saw that today on Twitter. I'm like, why? That 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 makes no sense whatsoever. Seth should be going after Bobby Lashley, I think.
Exactly, yeah.
But what do I know? I don't run a multi-billion-dollar corporation, apparently.
Apparently we don't know anything.
Oh no, yeah,
People online are like, "Oh, you knew Brock was gonna enter number 30." I'm like, all you have to do is watch.
yeah. Like I said, I just when I saw the ending of at first I thought that was going to be the first match, and
hmm
had that happened in the first match, I was like, okay, well that's definitely how it's going to go. They're going to let Brock rest up a little bit before he goes back out there, but um, but yeah, when 29 happened, I was just like, okay, I'm waiting on 30. I want to hear that screech of that guitar or whatever the hell it is, and I know how this is going to go down. And
And it seemed like the part of the Rumble people grew quiet was Becky and Doudrop.
yeah, I mean, I love Dewdrop. I mean, I also I watched like the European independent scene. I became a big
hmm
fan of ICW because of Drew. When he left, I started following that on YouTube. And watching her, she's got a match with her. Of course, she's Viper back then, um,
hmm
with Kaylee Ray and Nikki Cross, and that match is killer. It's absolutely killer. I would love to see them bang something like that out again, but I don't think WWE is going to let that happen, unfortunately.
No, I don't think so.
But I think they put the reins on Dewdrop. I don't think she's not showing what she's definitely capable of, and what I've seen out of her.
hmm
But I don't think anyone thought that Becky was losing that title, and
No,
I don't think she's going to lose it anytime soon. Honestly.
but I am looking forward to Lita and Becky though.
Oh, I am really looking forward to that. Like I said, my Attitude Era heart just was like, yes.
And of course they're gonna go with Ronda and Charlotte. I'm just like,
see it. See, and that's the thing. Brock has already said he's going after Roman, which we pretty much knew that. I have my own wish about that,
hmm
but what? So SmackDown is going to get both main events on both
yeah,
nights.
that
That
kind of doesn't make sense.
it doesn't make sense at all. And honestly, the most logical one would be for her to go after Becky because Becky's the one that beat her
hmm
for the title. So I don't know. Like I said,
Unless
what I know.
Charlotte's got to be in the main spot,
Yeah.
unfortunately,
Yeah.
or don't make Ric Flair mad. God forbid.
Yeah. Well, I don't think they really have much to do with him anymore. But I mean, Charlotte is incredibly talented, and I do really like her. I remember actually way back in the day with WCW. I live here in Charlotte, so
Oh, okay.
I would see her and Reed as little kids waiting on their dad, to come out of the building after a show at the well, it's now Bojangles Arena, but it used to be the old Charlotte Coliseum.
hmm
Uh, so I used to see that. I used to see her like her and Reed as little kids way back in the day, and it's just so funny to see her like as this gigantic superstar now.
Oh
But
yeah.
yeah, but yeah, I think she's insanely talented. Is she ever pushed? Probably. I mean, but you know, I I don't know. I think it's really hard to find a bigger female star right now than Becky.
hmm
Uh, but that's also on the company that they've got to create these stars. too. And we could go on and on about that, but you know,
Until they're all too old, then maybe they'll eventually create new stars.
maybe. I don't
I
know.
mean,
Braun Breaker may be 40 years old still on NXT. I don't know.
Vince is going to run out of luck eventually.
At some point, he's going to run out of luck. But, oh well.
One thing I do like is how, yeah, we don't like that Brock's getting pushed in every main event scene, but I do like how he's carrying himself, though. It is entertaining.
It's very refreshing from what his persona was before. I definitely, I was never a big Brock fan, even like back in the day. I was much more of a fan of Batista, out of that OVW set that came out. I was much more of a Batista fan. But yeah, Brock is a lot of fun now. I'm enjoying, Farmer Brock or, Haggard Country Singer Brock. Lately. I made the joke to someone that Brock right now, like, when he comes out with the coat and the cowboy hat, he kind of looks like he's getting ready to do a duet with Joe Exotic.
Bobby who?
Yeah, oh God, that was okay. That made me laugh. That was pretty funny.
Paul Heyman's like, Brock doing a knock joke in Philadelphia. I thought I've seen it all.
Yeah, that was pretty funny, and just Heyman's reaction, I think, probably made me laugh even harder at that.
He destroyed Bobby Lashley in that promo.
he is even last night. He still, like, it's like a verbal evisceration. I mean, it's just, I'm not a big fan of Bobby. I'm a fan of Bobby Lashley, the person. I think he's fantastic, but I'm just not a big fan of him carrying a brand. He doesn't do anything, and I do think he's great in the ring. He, especially with certain people, he has great chemistry with certain people. But as a, like, brand carrier, I wish that they would have given Big E more of a chance.
Yeah,
because I was personally really enjoying Big E as champion.
I think they should have saved that for WrestleMania. I think, though.
I think that I think if there was going to be a belt change, it should have been WrestleMania, not Royal Rumble. But like I said, what do I know?
But it was funny because Brock was like, "Oh, Bobby, I'm not mad at you, Bobby." He's like, "I'm mad at Paul Heyman and Roman Reigns, but I'm still taking the title from you."
Right? Like, I'm still going to make you pay for it, but I'm not mad at you. Yeah,
He's just sitting there smiling and just like, they're not going to have a match tonight. No way.
Yeah, I knew that was I knew that wasn't going to happen. But to see him come out, ready for the match, I was just like, okay.
Brock's showing up to work these days.
Yeah, and that's another thing that's part of the reason why I didn't really like Brock up until this point was, I mean, he basically took the title and went home for 2 years, and people were begging other wrestlers to just beat him. I mean, the same people but it's funny, same people who were begging Drew to take the title off of him at WrestleMania 36 are the ones that have turned on him, saying he's too much in the scene. And I'm like, he hasn't been really near the title scene in like 6 months. I don't know what you're talking about. But
I mean, he's been trying to get Happy Corbin over.
Yeah. I will say I secretly love Happy Corbin. I think he's a good dude. I really do. I actually have a friend, as I've said before, I have a friend who's really good friends with him, actually. And she, when we were front row for SmackDown in November, texted him and said, okay, there's this little girl named Josie that she's going to be on the front row. Send a picture of her, especially with, she had her new glasses at the time. And she said, she's a really big fan of Drew. I want you to give her crap about Drew. And he sent her back a message, and she actually screenshotted it and sent it to me saying, oh yeah, that's going to happen. So during the actual match, it was actually Jeff Hardy's last televised match. He was doing with Drew versus Corbin and Moss. He was on the other side of the ring, so we didn't really have much interaction with him. But during the little battle royal, where Drew came out with the sword and everything, during the commercial break, my daughter started screaming at him, "Drew's gonna kick your butt!" And so he looked to see who was saying it, and he saw her and knew her face, and he started like going off, going, "I don't have to take this for some little girl wearing cat ears. I'm gonna break it in half." And so my daughter's like screaming at him, like, "You're a chicken! You're a chicken! Drew's gonna kick your butt!" So it was just that little interaction, I secretly like Happy Corbin. I prefer bum ass Corbin, but
Oh, that was great.
that was some amazing character work too. That the whole WWE.com exclusive stuff and Twitter exclusive stuff that they would have was gold. But I think he and Drew do have good chemistry in the ring. I really do. And Moss, it wasn't the match I wanted for Drew at day one, but I thought that he made the most of it. And Moss isn't terrible by any stretch of imagination. I thought they had a pretty good match. I think Drew made him look better than he is, but I actually enjoyed the match a lot more than I thought I was going to.
Oh, that's good. But Jeff Hardy results came back negative.
Not shocked. Not shocked at all. When I first watched that footage that they put, I thought that he had somehow gotten knocked silly.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, and he just kind of wandered off, and I was just like, I was like, did he get knocked out? Because he wasn't. It wasn't like you could tell it wasn't like a Victory Road 2011.
Oh no,
you could tell it wasn't anything like that. So I thought he had gotten hit. My thing is, if it's what they were saying is true, what Matt Hardy was saying, he was just done with WWE and how they were treating him. I completely get that, especially prior to the move over to SmackDown. I really loved that he and Drew made a pretty good tag team, and they were doing pretty good with Corbin and Moss. I was enjoying that. I definitely, the way he was being used on Raw, I could totally understand where he was coming from. But there has to be when you're working with other people, there needs to be a certain professionalism, and I thought it was a little unprofessional of him to kind of do that to Woods and Drew, and the Usos and Roman as well. I
can get what you're saying on that.
Yeah, but I mean, I can completely understand where he is coming from. But I am a big Hardy fan. I was always a Hardy boy girl back in the Attitude Era. They were my others other than Edge back in the Attitude Era. So.
But Jeff will be all right. Tony Khan was probably already calling him on his way out.
Probably, and I would be fine with seeing it. I know that they've got an independent booking in Spartanburg on March 19th. Because my husband was showing it to me the other night, and I'm like, well, if we weren't already going to be in Johnson City, Tennessee for that WWE house show, we would totally go to that. But it's going to be interesting if they bring him in, because AEW is just so stacked right now with not just WWE talent, but the talent that they've kind of made. MJF and Jungle Boy and the Four Pillars. I mean, they're killing it too.
I hear Keith Lee's on his way in too.
I heard that. I'm very interested in seeing that. I was very disappointed when he got released.
That one,
I don't understand that one at all. There's a lot of things that WWE does that I don't understand, but we weren't in the room. We don't know really what all happened. But, I'm very interested to see if he comes in, what program he's going to get put into. I would like to see him versus Adam Cole.
That would be good.
Yeah.
But Adam Cole's buried.
He's not buried. I do want to see him versus Danhausen now that the curse. Now that he's been cursed, so I'm a Fanhausen, just so you know.
There's nothing wrong with that. He's going to bring Tony Khan a lot of money. He has a huge following.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I didn't agree
But
with it
yeah,
at first. I'm like, you signed Danhausen before all these talents, but I'm like, it makes sense now.
it makes it he's given them a lot of publicity on his YouTube channel. And he has made his following. He is that his YouTube channel is hilarious. I didn't get to meet him. He was at WrestleCade and
Oh,
I didn't
cool.
get to meet I didn't get to meet him, but I wanted to. But his line was like longer than other than Malachi Black. I think he had the longest line.
Wow.
Yeah, it's funny because if you watch Danhausen's vlog where he's talking to the Ass Boys,
Oh, I
and
saw that.
uh, yeah, that was at WrestleCade. That happened at WrestleCade.
That was funny.
Yeah, yes, I love the
Did you see
whole.
the one?
Oh, go
Did you
ahead.
see the one with him and Lance Archer?
Yes, the Murder Bird. Yes,
Yeah, the murder bird.
I met Lance Archer too. He was at a. I think it was in November, not long after we went to SmackDown, or like early December. He was at a PWX show. PWX is a big independent promotion here in Charlotte. Um, so they brought in Lance Archer to go against my boy JD Drake, blue collar
Hmm.
badass. He is good friends with my husband. They're actually on the same bowling team. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, so we went there. We went there to see originally JD, but he was going against Lance and um, Anthony Henry. I can't remember what his name. He was in NXT, but he was I can't remember his name in NXT, but he's also very prominent there. But I love watching. I love going to their shows because those guys are so truly hungry
Hmm.
and and support. When they say it's not just a hashtag support independent wrestling. Um, because I've seen some amazing talent at those shows. Um, I, Marty Bell actually from NWA. She's like one. I think she's like one half of the NWA Women's Tag Team Championship. She came in for a show.
Hmm.
Met her. She's awesome. She put on a really good match with a couple of the other ladies that are currently hitting the indies right now. So, um, but yeah, I love going to the independent shows just as much as I love, sitting front row for SmackDown.
One of these days, I'll get to a wrestling show. The last big one I went to was WrestleMania 27.
Oh wow, oh wow. Well, I didn't go for a long time. I mean, so I'm very old school. Like I said, I grew up here in Charlotte during the Crockett era. I
Hmm.
mean, the Rock and Roll Express. When Sting first came in, Sting's my main guy. Um, and I was at shows probably every weekend from the time I was like 5 years old to whenever they whenever they sold it to Turner.
Hmm.
I was like a teenager when they sold it to Turner. But I would still go to shows every now and then. WCW came through here. WWF came through here a couple of times. I actually got to see Bret Hart live. That he was another one of my
Oh,
guys. It was actually it was when he was still teaming with Neidhart. It was in 90. It was 91 or 92. It was when Macho Man was feuding with Ric Flair. So it may
oh,
have been
wow.
90.
Yeah.
Yeah, it may have been 91. Um, but yeah, so I got to see Bret Hart live. And that's the only time I ever got to see him live because when we started going to Raws for the Attitude Era, when they would come to Charlotte, he was already gone. Um, it was after the Montreal Screwjob, unfortunately. Um,
When he joined WCW shortly
yes,
after.
yeah, and didn't get to a whole lot of WCW shows back in that day. I went to a couple. I went to more before the switch happened to Hollywood Hogan. Um, you
Hmm.
know, I went to a lot more before NWO happened. Um, Not by choice, but just this thing called finances. But I went to a few Raws during the Attitude Era. I was also at Starcade '93. That's when Flair beat
Mm.
Vader. Um, I was
Wow.
I was like a few rows up for that. I can't remember. And I was at the pay per view, and I swear to God, I can't remember which pay per view it was. It was a WWE pay per view. It was in Charlotte. It was the night before the Monday Night Raw. They did "This Is Your Life" with The Rock.
Oh my God. I thought you were gonna say Alexa Bliss or something. It's like, oh no.
No, 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 no. God, no. It was the "This Is Your Life,"
Okay.
the real one.
hmm
Yeah, but oh, I cannot remember. But I remember I went to that pay per view. I went to that one. It was Attitude Era, and I went to a few Monday Night Raws. I had, you know, I was with a bunch of my female friends, and we were like big Hardy Boys fans and stuff like that.
hmm
Edge, and of course, it was Attitude Era, and there were a bunch of men around, 18 to 30, 46 or whatever, and they were. I think what they were chanting for us to do, because we were
Oh yeah.
females.
And that
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 no,
important demographic.
yeah, the demographic, and no, I did not do that. I think I told one of the guys, "Is your name Jeff Hardy?" Then no, I'm not doing that for you.
They're probably like, oh.
Yeah, you're not seeing them. Sorry. But then I didn't go to another show. I lived in Richmond, Virginia for 6.5 years, from like 2010 to 2016,
Oh
and
wow.
yeah, and they had plenty of shows there, and I. I never, my husband and I never went, just because, when our daughter came along, it was a lot harder to, get a
Oh, of course.
babysitter,
Yeah.
and you have to work the next day, and it's like, you know but you kind of get in that pattern. Well, I kind of need my sleep, but we recently started going back to shows. We went to in August. There was the Superstar, the house show that happened in Charlotte. It was in August. I'll never forget that day, because we decided to adopt two cats that same day. So that
Mm.
morning we were at the animal shelter adopting two cats. And one of them, my daughter named after Drew McIntyre. She named him Drew, because we were supposed to see Drew that night, and he was there. We were 10th row back, and this was my daughter's very first wrestling show, and she has been addicted ever since. I mean, she was a wrestling fan before, but going to see it live, oh,
It's
she's
always a
she
great thing.
it and I was telling my husband, it's so cyclical, because I started going with my dad when I was really, really young, because my dad was best friends with a professional wrestler when I was really young. Um, he was he was a wrestler named the Mighty Igor, and he worked the Crockett territory way
hmm
back. And um, so he's the one who originally got me into professional wrestling. But um, the Rock and Roll Express and those guys kind of kept me there. And that's when I started going with my mom, because my mom was a really big fan of the Rock and Roll Express. She also loved Rick Rude, and Rick Rude
Oh, I
worked
remember
the
Rick Rude. hmm
yeah. He worked the Crockett territory for about a year before he went to had this big run in WWF. Um, but I just remember going to all these different shows with my mom, and she's passed on since now. So now I get to have that experience with my daughter. So it's very wrestling's very sick has become very cyclical in our family. So I mean, I was just sitting there that entire time at that first house show, like, man, this is just it's so cool. And she screamed her head off for everyone and just had a blast. I think
That
we
is
were
very cool.
Yeah, I think we're 10th row for that one. And then right after that, we got tickets for what was supposed to be on New Year's Eve, but now they've moved it to March 18th, the SmackDown. For that, we have 4th row tickets, and we're right on the entrance aisle, facing the
Mm.
camera. So you'll probably see us again for that. And then that SmackDown where we were front row, and my phone was getting blown up during that entire show with screenshots going, "Oh my God, I see you guys!" From my friends and people on Twitter who were like, "Oh my God, I see Cherry on the, I see Cherry on
Oh
the
my goodness.
front." Oh God, that was so much fun. And then we got Johnson City the day after that SmackDown in March, and I think that's the last time they're coming around. I think the closest they'll be coming around it's on a Sunday, but in Charlottesville, but in Virginia, but I can't do a Sunday. And then SummerSlam, we've tossed around the idea of doing SummerSlam. Whether that happens or not, I don't know. That's one of my things that I want to happen is to go to a major pay-per-view, one of the major 4 pay-per-views.
It's worth it.
You
won't have to hear the piping crowd noise while you're there.
God. Yeah, they were doing that before the pandemic. They would pipe in certain crowd noises and stuff like that. But it started getting out of control during the Thunderdome era when they were doing the stupid choo-choo noise.
Oh, Braun Strowman.
I'm like, why?
Even when he was running around the ring, they were doing it.
I know, and I'm like, why are you doing this? That's silly. We know he's not really a train. Don't do that. But he's actually from around here. Not he's from Sherrills Ford. I actually have a cousin whose husband played Little League Baseball with him.
Oh, okay.
On his team, yep.
Here's one cool moment to share with you. Just to kind of give you the difference in how booking has been over the years.
Mm-hmm.
My dad took me and my family to a WCW show in Charlottesville, Virginia, and we get to this stoplight, and we look to our left, and it's fucking Diamond Dallas Page, and we're sitting there talking to him for like 2 miles down the road. And he gets on his computer. He goes, "Oh, quick question. You guys, I see I'm in a tag match. Do you guys know who my opponent is?"
No way. He didn't know who he was facing?
No, he's just like, it just says here that I'm in a tag match.
Oh, God, that's hilarious. Oh, my God.
Just like, wow, has booking changed since back then?
Yeah. Now, I DDP is awesome. I've always been a fan of DDP. I had a little encounter kind of like that. It was right before one of the Raws that I went to during the Attitude Era, across the street from what is now the now demolished Charlotte Coliseum. The new Charlotte Coliseum now demolished. Across the street from that was a Jocks and Jills, and so my now ex and I went to go eat at Jocks and Jills and looked over, and there is sitting at the bar, there's Bradshaw and Farouk. It was APA. It was during the time. And so I got to meet them then, and I thought, they were really cool, when we met them, and then the stuff kind of came out about JBL, and it's just like,
yeah. But still, though, that's pretty fun.
Yeah. And I remember way back in the day, like in the days of Crockett at the old Charlotte Coliseum, you got to go up as they were pulling in to their parking spaces and get autographs. And I remember every time the Rock and Roll Express would come in a minivan, and the girls would just crowd around that thing, and they literally had to battle their way into the arena from all the girls like screaming and trying to take pieces of their clothing and hair.
Now you'll be lucky if you can get that close to them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they have like superstar experiences, and some arenas you can see them driving in. But it's very rare now where they have it where you can interact with them before the show.
Mm-hmm.
WWE is very controlled. That's a very controlled environment. But I've had a little bit of luck. The August house show we went to, we were standing there. I was wanting to see Drew come in, but apparently he had come in like way before I got there. But all of a sudden, this guy comes in. They have those scooters that you can rent and just kind of leave in whatever space in downtown Charlotte, and then until someone and goes on. So, and the guy's getting off the scooter, and I'm looking at my husband. I'm like, I think that's Seth Rollins. And
Seth Rollins on the Matt Riddle scooter?
Yeah, on one of those motorized scooters. Yeah, I was just like, oh my God, that's Seth Rollins. Yeah, so you can still have like little experiences like that, but unfortunately, they become fewer and far between.
More AEW side than WWE.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we did do. I did spring for my daughter and I. We went to Fayetteville the day after day one, and of course, we wanted to see Drew, but little did we know he was going to be going out with the neck injury thing. But
Hmm.
we did the Superstar Experience, and we met Liv Morgan and Shinsuke Nakamura and Rick Boogs. So that was really cool. Liv was really sweet. Shinsuke loved my daughter. Actually, both of them wound up putting their interactions with her on their Instagram accounts. So
Aw.
yeah, so that was a really cool experience. We got to go up to the ring and take pictures of us by the stairs, going up to the ring, and by the ring, I think my daughter did like a heel stretch because she's got to perform at all times. So
Sometimes I forget he's still the Intercontinental Champion, though.
I know, and I love the thing he has with Rick Boogs, but at a certain point, it's like, why is the Intercontinental Champion in a doing like tag team matches only, or at ringside for his matches? That just didn't make any sense. I know he's had a hand injury, but it looks like he's been cleared.
Hmm.
So I know who I would like to see eventually take that from him. I have my own wish on that. I really would like to see Sheamus win
Yeah,
that.
he's been killing it the last year.
He and Drew and Bailey were, to me, like the MVPs of that Thunderdome era.
Yes.
I thought they just knocked all three of them just knocked it out of the park. And Sheamus, you can't find a bad match with him. He's just
Every
he's
match is good.
yes, he has great chemistry with everyone in the ring. And that would actually make him the ultimate Grand Slam champion because he will have held every single belt on both shows. So I would like to see that happen for him.
And he's even trying to put, what's his name? Holland? Is it Holland?
Ridge Holland, yeah.
He's trying to put him over. And he's not doing too bad.
I'm not a big fan of him. Like I think his first match I actually saw his first match on the big on SmackDown when we were in Greensboro. I think that was his first match after getting called up, and it was okay. It was against Cesaro. Um,
Hmm.
it was okay, but I guess I'm much more of a fan of Sheamus by himself. But yeah,
Me too.
but if you're gonna have a mentor, you're hard pressed to find a better one than him.
But if anyone deserves it, definitely Sheamus for all the work he's been putting in this past year or two.
Yeah. Well, for the last 15 years, 16 years
Hmm.
now, I mean, he's always been one of my favorites too.
Then he had the U.S. title briefly, and I didn't really feel that.
I don't think he got much of a chance because it's like he was facing the same, like he faced Humberto Carrillo for like 200 weeks in a row or something. I mean, it just felt like that would never end. And then eventually Damian Priest took it from him. I would have liked to have seen him have a bigger variety of matches during that reign.
Then
But
poor Ricochet.
Rick O'Shea, yeah, that I love. I love watching Ricochet in the ring. He's incredible. Um, his indie work is amazing. Actually, on the WWE Network, you can go watch. They have like a best of Drew, and included in that is they had like he and Ricochet had like a 30-minute match in Evolve, and
Hmm.
that match is killer. I mean, that they do really good. They have really good chemistry on the main roster, but the match that they had in Evolve, and I think if you look up on YouTube, I think there's a match between the two of them in What Culture Pro Wrestling too. The back in the day, that both of those matches were just killer. So I
Oh
would go
yeah,
out
he,
of my
he
way.
could definitely put on a good wrestling match.
Yeah, and I mean he's really exciting. It's like he does, and I know the announcers kind of oversell it, but really he can do things that so many can't. I mean,
Hmm.
he's incredible. He's just incredible.
But the poor guy is always losing.
I know. I don't know who he ticked off, but you know, I'd like to see him get a little something. I know he had a U.S. championship at one point, but I would like to see him get a little something. You know, but
For taking all
uh,
those L's, for crying out loud.
good Lord, and like I wanted to see him really feud with Morrison because he and Morrison
Hmm?
put on some incredible matches.
Did you
It's
see that video that Morrison just put up about his
oh the
exit from WWE?
yes, where he's flying all over that plate. Oh my God,
He,
he's another one that was a waste of potential too. Uh,
he looked like he was about ready to cry on that.
I'm sure.
Hmm.
I'm
That
sure
is, it's like, you'll be fine, man. You'll find something.
he will. I'm just I don't know if he's going to wind up going back to Impact or, um, I mean. I mean, everyone's always quick to push the AEW button when someone gets released, and at some point, like I said, that roster's going to get so bloated they're not going to be able to sign anyone else. Um,
Oh no.
but I mean, you never know. I would, he did some really good work in it, back in Impact too. So, that would be an option for him as well.
I think it's time for TK to start letting some of those first year people go that he's not using.
Well, I know that some of them, their contracts have run out, and I think they're still doing some freelance. I know Peter Avalon, I think his contract has expired, but he's still doing appearances, and he's doing appearances elsewhere, but he's also still doing appearances with the Wingmen, with JD and
Hmm.
Cesar and Ziggler's brother, Ron Nemeth. But yeah, at some point, like Janela, I mean, they rarely use Janela, and you talk about an indie darling. That's like one of the biggest indie darlings of that era before AEW started.
Oh, right. Brian Cage, another one that's trending every single day almost.
I, that one, I don't understand why Vince McMahon has not signed him, and it's
Hmm.
not because I'm advocating for it, but he looks like a Vince McMahon wrestler.
Yes, he
He
does.
he just he just looks like that overwhelming Hulk that Vince wants on his roster. Um, I don't know the story behind that either, but I don't know. But yeah, he's never on TV anymore either.
Mm-mm.
Um, I don't know. He may wind up going back to Impact too. I know he was there for a long time.
He was a champion there for a little bit too.
Yeah, yeah. I had stopped watching Impact at a certain point. I think when Drew left Impact, I didn't watch. I think it was about a 2-year period where I didn't watch it. Even as much as I watched it religiously back in the day, like
Hmm.
in the two and and some into the 2010s. Um, I stopped watching it, and all of a sudden something told me to turn it back on there, and they're having like some swingers club or some
Oh my
house,
goodness.
and I'm like, what is going on? But I was a big fan of House Hardy when that all that was going on, because I was watching for Drew, but then I got sucked into the Broken Hardy
That
stuff,
was
and
good. Yeah.
oh my God, I ate that up. I love being entertained. I mean, I love my hardcore real wrestling, but
Hmm.
if you can find something so outlandish that it entertains me, I'm gonna get hooked. And man, it just showed heart that Matt Hardy has an incredibly creative mind when he's just like given the reins and just let loose, you know. But yeah, I was a
HFO
big
though, not a huge fan
huh?
of that faction. The HFL, I'm not a huge fan of right now.
Yeah, I know Tony Khan said that he was not a big fan of the broken stuff, but I'm like, well, the HFO's not hitting either. I think if Jeff is going there, I think that's going to be ceasing, and it's going to be House Hardy again. I don't think it's. I
Um,
don't necessarily. Yes, I don't necessarily think it's going to be, broken, but it's going to be, the Hardy Boys again for sure.
Oh yeah, they've already been proclaiming one more run.
I mean, I would love to see it, as long as they can still go, and I mean, we definitely know Jeff can still go.
Oh yeah, you can.
So I'm just glad I got to see one of his last Swantons live.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I got a picture of it. I have a video and a picture of that from that SmackDown. So that was.
And someone did record his exit. He didn't look messed up to me.
I thought he looked like he was loopy, like he got hit.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he got hit in the head, and I was just like, is someone going to check on him? Because he just kind of walked out into the crowd. I'm like, did he get knocked loopy? But like I said, I mean, I hated to see him go because I love him. He's like one of my favorites. But he at the end of the day, he's got to do what's best for him.
And in the way they kept treating him, bringing back his alcoholism and all that stuff, making it public, I'd be out of there too.
The whole thing, I love Sheamus, and I know none of this was his fault. None of it was his fault, but the whole, piss test and just bringing up, and Moss and Corbin brought it up too. I'm just like, why? Why are you guys? It's like we need a plot point for a Hardy feud. Oh, let's bring up the fact that he had a substance abuse problem. I'm not a big fan of that. I never have been.
No.
But if Jeff was comfortable with it, so be it. But I don't think that's something that he should have been made to do.
No, and clearly he wasn't, because he finally stormed out.
Like I said, I can't blame him. I mean, that I was I think at that show, that last SmackDown, which was the week after I was there. They when they came down, and I call what he and Drew did the whole what I call the Magic Mike thing with the hats and no shirts and all that kind of stuff. I think they had cracked a joke about his sobriety or something like that, and I just remember, oh my God, why are you doing this? I'm not a fan of that. It can make good TV, but I don't need to see that. No one needs to see that.
Just like Bully Ray saying Moxley needs to apologize.
that flew all over me. I'm like, what does he need to apologize for?
Nothing.
He doesn't need to apologize for a thing. That's none of our business. It was made our business for, when they announced it. But that's all they owe. They just said, hey, he's taking care of some things, and that should have been good enough for everyone. You know, and his Royal fans are going to say he doesn't need to apologize for anything. The fact that he's happy and healthy again is what matters.
Better than losing him.
Exactly. And I think I will say wrestling as a whole has gotten better about that, because I mean, back in the day we were losing so many even before the age of 40, and so many between the ages of 40 and 50 because of issues that they had prior to that. I think as a whole it's gotten better, but we don't need to bring that stuff up, and Bully Ray bringing that up, and it's almost like he was trying to get cheap heat off of that. It's like,
I think so. He wanted attention.
Like, dude, just stop. That's not your life. That's not your life. If you want to talk about what he's doing in the ring, so be it. But don't be taking shots at his sobriety. Or taking shots at, saying he needs to apologize for not being at shows. Shut up. He does not.
And it's funny because now he's backtracking. I listened to the Jim Cornette and Brian, and he's like, oh, he didn't need to apologize. What are you talking about?
You just said I mean, it's on the record. We can pull it up and listen to it. We know what you said.
No, he's like, oh no, he doesn't need to apologize. That was wrong.
Yeah, you think?
Oh my goodness. But yeah, talk about backtracking. Jim Cornette probably is like, "What the hell are you doing in my show?"
Speaking of someone who never backtracks.
Oh no, Jim
He
Cornette is as blunt as anybody I've ever met.
yeah, he's pretty blunt. But I mean, I'm not a fan of a lot of the things he says,
No.
um, but then again, he's of a certain age and of a certain mentality, um, and you can either get completely angry about it or you can ignore him. I pretty much choose to ignore him. You know, but
Although I do think it's funny he calls the Young Bucks the Hardly Boys.
that is funny. That is funny. I mean, they are Hardy Boy marks at
Hmm.
heart. They just are, and I don't think that's a bad thing.
No. But he's just like, the Hardly Boys came in the ring, and I'm just like, he does that every time.
Uh, every time. Oh well, but I'm gonna have to cut.
No
I know we
problem.
haven't cutting it short, but I gotta go get my daughter in a couple of minutes.
I
So
just see the time. I was just about to say you probably got to get out of here. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
absolutely,
Hey, we Drew McIntyre right there.
that's right.
Well, you have a
Represent.
good day. Tell
You
everyone
do
I
the
said
same.
hello. I'll talk to
Absolutely,
you soon.
absolutely. We'll do this again.
Definitely. It was a lot of fun. Thank you, Cherry.
All right. Thank you.
Have a good one.
You too. Bye.